What was the first year that you heard about cryptocurrency? Shout it out. What year? 08. 08. Wow. 2010. Okay. What else? When did you first hear about Bitcoin? So many of you have heard this story before, but I'm going to share it tonight. A friend of mine called me up. It was around 2010, and he said, listen, I'm going to put $5,000 into this thing called Bitcoin. And he said it was either this or some Iraqian dollar or something that he was looking at. The dinar. That's what it was.
Heard that one.
Yeah.
Too, like 10 years.
It's been coming. It's coming. And he says, I'm going to put $5,000 into this thing called Bitcoin. And I said, okay, is it a gold or is it a silver coin? He says, no, it's digital. And I said, digital. Okay. Digital. All right. So where do I buy it? He says, well, you got to find somebody that's willing to sell it to you. I said, okay. Sounds like a dark alley kind of a deal, but all right. And I said, well, what can I do with it? He says, nothing. I said, okay, you can't do anything with it. Can I buy anything with it? He says, no. I said, okay, well, if I want to sell it, like, how do I get my money back? He says, well, you got to find somebody who's willing to buy it from you. I said, so you want me to buy this coin that I can't hold? It's in some phantom digital wallet that you can't really see. I can't spend it anywhere. And then I got to go do another dark alley to sell it to somebody. And I go, dude, I think you're getting scammed. Like, seriously, you need to run. Well, I chose to pass. He put $5,000 in, and then another $5,000 in, and then another $5,000 in. And in 2020, his portfolio hit $50 million. Mine didn't. The height of all stupidity is forming an opinion without knowing all the facts. Would you agree? Ever since then, I made a commitment that if somebody that I respected came to me with an opportunity, I'm looking at you, then I would be willing to take the time to truly evaluate it and make a well-informed decision, which is why I'm ultimately here at Trusted Smart Chain. You know, over the next few years, I cut my teeth in cryptocurrency. I always say that I went to the school of hard knocks. I have an Ivy League education in cryptocurrency because I lost more money in crypto than it would have cost to go to an Ivy League school. There wasn't a lot of education back at that time. But when he came back to me in 2016 and said, man, there's this new coin called Ethereum coming out. And there's these things called smart contracts. And we have an opportunity to start mining. And I'm like, oh, my grandpa was a coal miner. He said, not that kind of mining. And he explained the concept of supporting a network. And ultimately, I did not understand one word that he said. How many of you, the first presentation that you came to for Trusted Smart Chain had no idea what we were talking about? It was like a foreign language. So, you know, I didn't understand anything that he said, but I missed out on the first opportunity, and I swore I would never miss out on another opportunity like that again. And so I said, who do I write a check to? And I did. I wrote a check, and I bought some miners that were in some part of the world other that I didn't even know about, and I started earning Ethereum every day. I got a little drip every single day. And you know what was incredible about that little drip? Have you ever had a leak in your faucet underneath your sink? And you put a little bucket there. Isn't it pretty incredible how quick that bucket fills up? It's amazing, right? Well, that little drip started to come in, and pretty soon I had a few Ethereum and a few more and a few more and a few more, but Ethereum wasn't worth anything. It was like $30. So I thought, okay, you know, I'm going to just keep mining and I'm going to keep learning. And I really got obsessed with this idea of cryptocurrency. I loved the idea of by the people, for the people. Can I get an amen? By the people, for the people. I loved this concept of decentralization, put the power back into the people's hands. And so I started studying, started learning, and by the time that 2019, 2020 came around, I had a pretty good working knowledge of cryptocurrency. So what I'm going to share with you is those early days, some of the important lessons that I learned along the way, and I'm going to invite Billy to help me out here as well. So let's go ahead and jump right in, and I don't have my little clicker, so bear with me here. What's fiat currency? Who is fiat currency? That's the government's money. Cryptocurrency is who? The people's money. That's right. So what is cryptocurrency? It's nothing more than digital value. Think about it. Everything is being digitized. It's been digitized for the last 20 years. Some of us used to walk to the mailbox and hand deliver mail. Remember, we would write a letter, put it in an envelope, and mail it? Can you imagine? Some probably still do. Pretty cool now to actually do it. And then it turned into email. You've got mail. Remember, we would all put those we go to Blockbuster to get those discs, so AOL, so you could put it in. So what happened was everything started to get digitized. Our How many of you had a Walkman? How many of you listened to Casey Kasem and you had to sit there and hit record at just the right time to record?
Mixtape, baby.
That's mixtape, right? You give that to your crush. You give that little tape to your crush. Well, then what happened? All of a sudden it turned into CDs. And then we thought we were cool in high school, some of us, with those books of CDs, until overnight, all of a sudden it ended up on a computer. It got digitized. And so this idea of money going digital just made sense to me. And so really cryptocurrency represents money. It can represent ownership. It can represent access. Do these tokens that you guys are earning for your support and participation in this community, do they give you access? Absolutely they do. You have access to one of the most esteemed blockchains. Tonight is all about that access. This weekend is all about that access. Breakfast Club, the calls and the events and the Zooms that we do, that's all about access. So it exists digitally, not physically, right? In the digital world. It runs on software, networks, and nodes. Raise your hand if you are a node operator. You make this possible, baby. It's all you guys. And it's decentralized and community driven. And that's what I love the most. There is no central entity. There is no, when we talk about we, as in Trusted Smart Chain, we're not talking about this thing that we own. We don't own this. You own this. Collectively, collaboratively, this community is building this. We're building it with one conversation at a time, one relationship at a time, real world assets that are coming to the table through individuals like Mr. Andrew Scott, who you're going to be hearing about tomorrow. Give him a round of applause. He's a stud. Wait till you hear him tomorrow. So it is community operated, and I can tell you that is a central focal point for us, for our attorneys, because I can tell you that a large majority of the projects that are out there are not centralized. They're not. They're manipulated through the money that they earn every single day. The miners that they operate are not decentralized, and that is something that is very important to us. So, at the end of the day, it's digital value secured and shared by a network of people, not controlled by institutions. Now, what is a blockchain, Billy?
A whole bunch of nodes.
Whole bunch of nodes. It's a digital ledger, right? It's a diary that records all of the transactions. It records the transactions permanently. No single company controls it, and anybody can verify the activity. Are you guys all participating in the verification of the transactions that happen on the Trusted Smart Chain? Absolutely you are. It is all about transparency. It is all about security, and it is all about trust. I say trust because every single transaction that happens on a blockchain can be looked up. On the Explorer, can it be altered? Or can you go in there and change it so if you want to?
No.
It is fully transparent. It is a permanent record. It can never be altered. It can never be changed. That leads to trust and transparency. Has that always existed in the world of corporate America? No. Why crypto and blockchain exist? Slow transactions, high fees, limited access, the banking system in 2008 that caused the collapse that many of us went through, lack of trust in a centralized institution. The solution was blockchain that led to faster transfers, lower costs, global participation, a peer-to-peer movement, and it reduces time and essentially is much faster, cheaper, and more streamlined and more efficient than the old system. So what are nodes? You guys know what nodes are. What was that? Cell phone tower. I can't say that. My attorney will yell at me if I say that word. Cell phone towers. Steve, what are they?
Cell phone tower.
Okay. The cell phone digital towers are what to the crypto industry?
Nodes are very much to blockchain what a cell phone tower is to a cell phone network.
That's right. Nobody says it better. All right. So high energy. In the early days when blockchain first came out, the miners were hardware. And the hardware was designed to compete against the other hardware on the network to essentially solve a mathematical algorithm. So these computers would compete against each other to solve a problem, essentially, so that a block was created and a reward would be given. And that reward was in the form of Bitcoin. It was highly inefficient. It was harmful to the environment, required a tremendous amount of electricity. Now, blockchains today operate on nodes. It's all about the support and the infrastructure and the security as opposed to the competition. So we have watched nodes evolve to a point where they are now securing the network, they are helping to validate transactions, and that is essentially what you guys are earning daily digital rewards for every single day. So why crypto is growing? I've been using for 2025 a statistic that 20% of the US population earns cryptocurrency, and I thought that was a staggering number. I mean, if you think about it from a currency's perspective, most currencies that we're used to have been around for hundreds of years. So the fact that in 16 years, 20% of the entire US population has a cryptocurrency wallet, that's pretty remarkable. The number was just updated to 28%, 6% just 2 years ago. That is staggering. So if you look at the market cap, it is now larger than any company in the entire world, including Apple, any company that's out there. And the reason for that is very simple. Again, faster transactions, lower cost, global access, global demands for alternatives. Iran's currency just collapsed this week. Did everybody see that? Lost 97% of its value. You know who wasn't affected by that? The people that own Bitcoin in Iran. It provides an alternative to the currencies that are out there. It is a hedge even to the US dollar, which hasn't been performing so well lately, has it? Down 10% over the course of just 2025. So let's talk a little bit about the life cycle of disruptive technology. You guys have heard me say it. Disruption never really feels like disruption when it's first happening. The automobile came out and they said, why would you want to drive one of those cars? Horses are much more reliable. What happened when the cell phone came out? People didn't want to carry a cell phone in their pocket. That's right. Then you had what are these Blackberries that came out? Who would want a computer on your phone? See, disruption in the beginning stages, people don't really understand it. People didn't understand cryptocurrency. There was really no case use for it. But then what happened was we started to get a little bit of momentum, and then there was a lot of resistance and criticism, right? People don't like change. So the banking system resisted. Warren Buffett called it rat poison. We all know our friend Jamie Dimon over at JP Morgan Chase 3 years ago called it a decentralized Ponzi scheme. Doubled down, called it a decentralized Ponzi scheme. The bankers told you that it was going to be worse than the dot-com bubble. You had the government that didn't have their arms around it. Of course, they want control. They want to know where every last dollar is because they want to be able to tax you on it. So you had a lot of resistance. In 2017, 2018, who was in crypto at that time? Who remembers what happened in the fall of 2018? Bitcoin lost 92% of its value and Ethereum lost 95% of its value. And you know what everybody said? The haters love to come out of the woodworks. We told you so. Where are all the Bitcoin people now? But here's what happened from that point. And again, if you go study the disruption cycle of every technology, there's always the pinnacle of hype. It gets hyped up, crashes down, and then the builders keep building, the innovation keeps happening. We enter into the slope of enlightenment, and then we move into mass adoption and real world use. And that is exactly where cryptocurrency is right now. Cryptocurrency is growing up. We're moving from hype and speculation to a place of tangibility and substance. And today's era of cryptocurrency needs blockchains that are built for regulation and compliance. The blockchains that came before us serve their purpose. They have accommodated all kinds of speculative projects at best, and there are some great projects out there, by the way, but there is a tremendous need for blockchains that are now going to usher in this new era of tokenization of real-world assets that holds these assets accountable and provides investor protection on the other side.
In fact, a lot of people don't know this, and I would be willing to bet that a handful of you in the room don't know this. Like, Ethereum raised a couple $100 million off an ICO, which if they did that today, they'd be shut down. They'd be shut down tomorrow.
What is an ICO?
Initial coin offering, where before they had their blockchain, they issued a large pool of token and they sold the token to investors, claiming basically as an investment contract, claiming that they would have appreciation in that coin. You cannot do that now, right? So a lot of these blockchains, even now, the stronger and bigger blockchains that have been around, they kind of got grandfathered in and they kind of slid under the radar. As we saw, XRP did the same thing. What happened to XRP? They were like the last ones to say, "Ooh, let's go do this." You got nipped, right? Which, I have a bunch of XRP. I think XRP is great. We've actually stolen some of XRP's thoughts of the tokenomics and the structure. But point being, guys, is a lot of what's out there and very powerful today and very strong blockchains just a handful of years ago would have been non-compliant and have massive regulatory issues right now.
Let's talk a little bit about hype versus speculation. So obviously, after smart contracts came out, as a result of Ethereum, it paved the way for anybody and everybody to be able to go and launch their own token. Everybody wanted their own currency. Everybody wanted their own face on a token. And you had all kinds of projects, and think about it from this perspective. You had Bitcoin that launched. Satoshi Nakamoto launched it. Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Elon Musk. That's the one theory. Any other guesses? Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Any guesses? Is it a person? Quincy says her. Quincy, Satoshi. They're now the ninth. Whoever this is the ninth wealthiest person in the world. It could be an entity. It could be a person. It could be a government. Or it could be Elon Musk. Or it could be Quincy. We really don't know. So here's what I'm saying. The point is that kicked off a whole trend of developers that didn't want to tell you who they were. They wanted to be able to launch projects in secrecy. But you know what that also did? It opened up a room for a lot of bad actors to come in because you didn't know who was behind these projects. And then pretty soon, you had all these meme coins that have these little icons or these little mascots, dogs, frogs, cats with space helmets on. And here's the thing that you have to understand. I'm not saying that all meme coins are bad. And I'm not saying that there hasn't been someone that has earned money with meme coins. But raise your hand if you've lost money in meme coins. Raise your hand if you've bought a meme coin, if you're willing to admit it, and you've lost money. There's a lot of Trump money. What you have to understand is somebody has to lose money for somebody to win money in these projects because they have no utility. And now what's happening is now we're moving into utility that are driven by real world assets. Utility is associated with longevity. Utility is often associated with value. The greatest benefactor of demand?
Scarcity.
And? Value. Yeah, it's your quote. I stole it from you. So what are some of the common I know it's been a while.
We haven't written that.
We hear quotes and we all give them credit twice, and then after that it's yours. You take it. So
Somebody stole that from me because I couldn't remember it.
So common beginner mistakes. So these are some of the mistakes that I personally have made, and I want to know if you guys have too. So first of all, anybody chase headlines out there in the media and you get the FOMO kicks in and you're like, oh my gosh, everyone's buying Bitcoin now. It's pretty interesting how when Bitcoin hits 100,000 or more, there's a line out the door to buy it. Just even recently, when it went down to 84, the fear index was at its all-time high. Nobody wants to buy it. So what happens is we take advice from the taxi cab driver, the Uber driver now. We take advice from our friend who tells us we got to get in on this new coin called Hawk2a token. Anybody get in on that one? No, you did not. Did you really? One hand. Confusing trading with participation, not understanding the asset. Listen. Taking the time to understand cryptocurrency and learn how to evaluate utility, real-world case use is one of the most important things that you could learn in the world of digital currency. It's why we spend so much time focusing on it. How many of you have sent cryptocurrency from one chain to the next and they didn't really communicate with each other and your money disappeared completely? Raise your hands. A lot of us. Chris?
Where you at, Chris?
Chris, where are you at? Oh, there he is. It happens to all of us. We've all done it. So what you have to understand is certain chains, blockchains, don't communicate with each other.